It is officially confirmed. Martin O'Neill is staying as Celtic manager. The Robbie Keane talks have collapsed, the backroom staff has been revealed, and Chris Sutton has delivered a very clear message to the board about what needs to happen next. We have also got a fresh transfer name to talk about, a young striker from France who has been lighting up League Two. Huge morning, let's get into it. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Martin O'Neill is set to be confirmed as Celtic's permanent manager after reportedly reaching an agreement with the club following a meeting with majority shareholder Dermot Desmond in London. The news breaks after what has been a long and at times messy process. Robbie Keane was strongly linked with the vacancy and held talks with Desmond earlier this week. Craig Bellamy was also reported to have been under consideration. In the end, Celtic have chosen to go with the man who delivered when the pressure was at its absolute highest. O'Neill guided Celtic to a domestic double after stepping in as interim manager, winning the Premiership title on the final day against Hearts and then completing the double by beating Dunfermline in the Scottish Cup final at Hampden. After that kind of campaign, the case for continuity was difficult to argue against. According to Sky Sports journalist Stephen McGowan, who broke the story, the deal is set to run for 1 year with the option of a further 12 months built in. The coaching structure around O'Neill is also expected to remain unchanged, with Sean Maloney, Mark Fotheringham and Gavin Strachan all expected to continue in their current roles. An official announcement from the club is expected in due course. For supporters who have been waiting weeks for clarity on the managerial situation, that moment cannot come soon enough. Now for the main story, as the full picture behind the manager decision has now emerged, and it tells a story of talks with Robbie Keane completely breaking down before O'Neill stepped in to take the job permanently. Reports from Sunsport confirm that discussions with Keane over the permanent role collapsed, and that this is what paved the way for O'Neill to continue. The 74-year-old had guided Celtic to the double and had already held his own discussions with Dermot Desmond in London about what staying on would look like. The Keane situation had become a major flashpoint among the Celtic support. A significant section of supporters made their opposition to the prospect of his appointment very clear and very loud, and for a period the atmosphere around the club had become genuinely heated. Whether that played a role in the talks breaking down is not clear from the reports. What is clear is that the process is now over and O'Neill is the man. The coaching team staying together is also an important detail. Maloney, Fotheringham and Strachan were all central to the way Celtic finished the season. That tactical structure, that understanding of what O'Neill needs around him and how the sessions should be run, all of that remains intact. The new season starts with the same group who delivered a double. There will be questions about whether O'Neill at 74 is the right long-term answer. Those are fair questions, and they will come back around. But right now, Celtic have a manager who just won the league and the cup, a coaching staff who delivered it with him, and a transfer window opening on the 15th of June. The job now is to back them. In other news, Chris Sutton has welcomed the news of O'Neill staying, but has immediately and firmly put the ball back in the board's court, warning that the manager cannot be expected to work miracles again without serious backing in the transfer window. Sutton, who played under O'Neill at Celtic and knows exactly how he works, was blunt in his assessment of where the club finds itself as it looks ahead to next season. Speaking to Record Sport, he said, "Fair play to him. He earned the right to decide for himself if he wanted to carry on, but if Celtic had been proactive in any way, the decision might have been made months ago anyway." O'Neill covered a multitude of sins last term, and he bought Celtic more time to sort themselves out off the pitch again. I would argue a lot of those things should have been well underway by now. That is a pointed observation. Celtic have a manager and a coaching staff in place, but the deeper problems that existed before O'Neill arrived have not disappeared. Recruitment, structure, and long-term planning are all still questions that need real answers. Sutton went further, adding, "O'Neill managed to achieve what I thought was impossible last season, but the board can't just assume he'll be a miracle worker again this time. He will need proper backing. There could be a huge turnover of players this summer and several key men could go. Winning the double might have been unexpected and it might have prompted a change in heart from the man himself. Sticking around for another year at least probably makes sense." Sutton is right on every count. The summer window opens in 9 days. Several important players could leave. Celtic need reinforcements at the back, in midfield and up front. O'Neill has done his part. Now it is the board's turn. In other news, the summer transfer business is already taking shape, with Celtic being credited with interest in a highly rated young striker from France. Tyrek Arconte, a 22-year-old forward with Rodez in League Two, has just completed the best season of his career. He scored 14 goals and added 3 assists as Rodez pushed into the promotion playoff positions, finishing 5th. Those numbers from a 22-year-old in a competitive second division in France have naturally caught attention across Europe. According to Foot Mercato, Celtic are among the clubs monitoring the situation, with Millwall and Auxerre also named as interested parties. Arconte represents exactly the kind of profile Celtic should be looking at this summer. He is young, direct, productive, and still has clear room to develop further. At a club that has historically done well bringing in players from France and the wider European market, he fits a recognisable template. The complication is that he is under contract with Rodez until 2028. That means this will not be a cheap or simple deal if Celtic decide to push for it. Rodez will know what they have and will not be forced into anything, but with interest growing and a summer window approaching, the situation is one to watch. Lastly, the details of Martin O'Neill's backroom staff for next season are now clearer, with the coaching group that delivered the double expected to remain intact as Celtic head into a new campaign. According to reporting today, Sean Maloney, Mark Fotheringham, and Gavin Strachan are all set to continue working alongside O'Neill. That is a significant piece of news in itself, because there had been some uncertainty over whether Maloney in particular might move into a different role within the club. There had been talk of Maloney taking on a senior football operations position following Paul Tisdale's departure in January. It now appears the latest developments around O'Neill's staying have altered those plans, with Maloney likely to remain in a coaching capacity instead, closer to the first team environment he knows well. The continuity across the staff is something Celtic should be grateful for. The improvement in results from the moment O'Neill and his coaches arrived was immediate and obvious. That clarity in how the team set up, the work on the training pitch, and the management of individual players in a tight group under pressure, all of that was down to this staff. Keeping them together heading into a season that includes Champions League qualifiers in August is exactly the kind of decision that matters more than it might seem from the outside. Celtic now have a clear structure from top to bottom of the coaching department. The next task is making sure the squad around them is good enough to compete. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.